Today, I'm not going to be wasting too much time. I want to employ us that are here now, those Esan sons and daughters, those Esan lovers and lovers of truth, to please invite more people to come join us so that we'll be good to go. I normally play music on the background so as to patiently wait for other people to come join us. Please, while the music is playing on the background, endeavor to share, please, so that more people will come join us. Oh, we know fully well that this page is a very new page. It's not up to a month, but we are doing well. It's not up to a month, so we would be expecting more views. But I commend Esan sons and daughters that are there, that are making sure that Esan sons and daughters out there come to the awareness of this page as they continue to invite people, Esan sons, as they continue to share to them. So for us to always get larger view, being that it's just a fresh page, always share. Thank you for joining. Abo Shani Aba, take the phone and read. Thank you for sharing. God bless you. Okay, we are good to go. Thank you, everyone. Let us also be drawn to this attention. I want us, the Esan people out there and the non-Esan alike, to also give us listening ears as regards to the subject matter I am here to put into the public this day once again. In accordance to the topic of this message, as you can see on your screen, is one, Benin City is not the only city we have in Edo State, and as such, every infrastructure / developmental strides must not be implemented in Benin City. I come again. Benin City is not the only city we have in Edo State, and as such, every infrastructure / developmental strides must not be implemented in Benin City only. Number two, the proposed seaports in Benin, in Edo State, must not be done in Benin. The proposed seaport should be taken to Ozigolo in Esan land. I will explain the reason for that as I continue to bring this expose message before us today. And three, how they have technically planned to continue to marginalize the great Esan people. Let me begin as we start with number one, of this subject matter this very moment. Once again, permit me to use this opportunity, this privilege as an avenue to once again greet the readiness of our Esan people, greet the Esan people themselves, and most especially, let me also use this medium as an avenue to commend the members and leaders of Esan Focus Association worldwide. I greet us all, I greet our tenacity, I greet our readiness in standing for us to make sure we continue to uphold and defend the integrity of the great Esan people, the integrity of the great Esans. I greet us all. Quickly, I continue again. Benin City is not the only city we have in Edo State, and as such, every infrastructure / developmental strides must not be implemented in Benin City only. We all know fully well that as it has been since the advent of the creation of a state that is named to one particular group in that Nigeria, which we know being Edo State. Like we learned from me the other time, that place that is now called Benin City today, that was erroneously named as Edo State, is great and very, very big error, because it's not only the Edo people that we have there in that geographical space that was later erroneously named Benin City. This was by reason of their propaganda. You know, propaganda will never last forever. It will never last forever. Sooner or later, propaganda will be revealed, because intelligent people like me will come up to criticize and unveil this propaganda. It is propaganda for a geographical space that comprises of multi-ethnic people, that comprises of similar and dissimilar languages. It is erroneous, or it is fraudulent, it is propaganda if such geographical space is named towards a particular group of people, as we have it today, Edo State. It's not only the Edo people that we have there in Edo State. So that is the number one error we need to observe. That is why they are feeling that Edo State is theirs to control. That is why they feel that Edo State is theirs only to do whatever they want to do. That is why they feel like Edo State, they are the owner of Edo State. In short, when you have a place that is known to be a place that comprises of multi-ethnic group of people, and that place is named, the name of a particular group of people is the name of that place, is a clear indication that those people are first class, while you are second class citizens. That is the picture behind it in reality. So when you hear Edo State, what comes into your mind? You know fully well that we are all not Edos. You know fully well that there are a group of people that are called Edo, because if they say Edo people, I don't think Urhobo people will emerge to the occasion to come and identify as Edo people. I don't think the Afeman people will emerge as Edo people. I don't think the Esan people, the Afeman, the Onwa East, Onwa West, Akoko Edos will emerge to say they are Edo people. When you hear Edo people, there is a particular group of people. They have their own attire, they have their regalia, they have their own language. So, for a place, a geographical space to be named as Edo State, that is where the supremacy and dominatory standard began. Although it was done by reason of conspiracy theories. This is the theory. I am just laying down the theory, exposing the theory. Long time conspiracy theory. And the place was named Edo State. By reason of we are one, we decided to continue in it, not knowing that the are one they mean, the are one they are referring to is not we are one where everybody are rated equally. It's we are one where other group of people will continue to submit themselves, pilot themselves as children of the Edo people. That is the we are one they mean in real sense. So when you hear we are one, always ask them the meaning of that we are one. Because there are a whole lot of different classifications. There are a whole lot of behaviors that shows that really and truthfully we are not one. But like I have always said, it does not mean that because we are not one, we cannot coexist, just as you are having coexistence there in the United Kingdom, which is UK, because they are not one. They are not one, but because they've been able to submit themselves to themselves, they are rated equally. No one is marginalized. Everyone have equal rights. If anything is going on in that kingdom, any individual have rights to criticize that which is going on that seems not to be right. But in our own case, you are not allowed to criticize that which you know that is not right. That is what I call Nebuchadnezzar monarchical structure. So it is high time we begin to define this oneness and begin to see who we are in reality. And that is why I also deem it fit this very moment, this afternoon, this morning, this evening, as you may have it in accordance to your time across the globe. I deem it fit to come and let us know that Benin City is not the only city we have therein in that geographical space that is now named Edo State. It's not, Benin City is not the only city there. Benin City is not the only city there. And even though Benin City is the only city there, which we know that Benin City is not the only city there, it is deception, it is deceptive, it is oppression, it is fraudulent, it is propaganda, it is abuse, it is underrating for every infrastructure, for every developmental stride to remain and be implemented only in Benin City only. When we have cities across that geographical space that is now called Benin City, we have a lot of cities there. Urumi mega city is there. Ekpoma mega city is there. Oh, Auchi itself is Edo City, but let's focus on Esan. Osigono, that comprises of the Lishu people. That is another city. But do you know what they have continued to do? Because they feel that because the state is named to them, is named as Edo State, so they have the right to bring everything to their own parts. Common sense will let you know that this is wrong. Common sense will tell you that this is completely wrong. You talk about any infrastructure, any development you want to talk about, they are all there in Benin City. If not for Abu Salim, who brought that university to Ekpoma, there wouldn't have been anything that is named towards the state. in Ishan land, they wouldn't. But after Abu Salim, everything stopped. They channel everything to where they call Benin City, like as if Benin City is only the city we have therein in that geographical space that is now named Edo State. We need to be rightly informed, and whatever you know that this is the reality, I beg of you, my Esan people, do not be afraid, because there is no fear in intelligence. Do not be afraid to come let your people know. Do not be afraid, because we are tired of a kind of oneness where we will not allow to air out our voices. We are tired of this oneness where we are not allowed to bring subjection. We are tired of this oneness where before you say Jack Robinson, the old traditional Talibans will come and label you Orioba, like as if you're Orioba, it means you're enemy of every other person. I am your enemy does not mean every other person should be dragged along. They don't allow us to speak. They threaten us with all manner of threats. But it is because they have a lot to hide. That is why they are doing so. But we will not back down. We will continue to sensitize our people so that those people that have all it takes to come on board and do the needful, they will begin to emerge. They will continue to emerge. That is the power of sensitization, rightly sensitizing our people. That is what I am called upon by the reincarnate spirit of our ancestors. Oh yes, by the reincarnate spirit of our ancestors. You talk about governorship that is agreed, initially agreed, that is going to be rotational within amidst these groups of people that are found in that state. But ever since the advent of the creation of that state that is not called Edo State, they have marginalized the Esan people. They tell you that it's by votes. We know fully well that votes don't count in Nigeria. Votes don't count in Nigeria. There is no free and fair election that has been conducted in the history of Nigeria. So that is why agreements must be made how a place that comprises of multi-ethnic group of people, agreement must be made how it's going to be governed, because there are cabals that will want to trap everything within their circle just as it is today. But they disappointed the agreement. They did not yield to the agreement. They tried to continuously to marginalize the Esan people, the great Esan people, the Odumas, because they know fully well that the Esan people are very, very intelligent. They are very, very skillful, and they know that when leadership gets to them, they will make sure that their land is perfectly developed. So because they want to keep us inferior, they make sure they hinder us from our political leadership in that state. They make sure they technically hinder us, marginalize and malign us. They make sure they keep lying to the world that there are no natural resources in Esan land. And that is why we deem it fit to create our states. And then you will begin to see the natural resources therein. They are tapping all the natural resources in Esan land, and they are telling you that there are no natural resources in Esan land. But we have north and other parts of that Nigeria that really and truthfully they don't have natural resources, but they are states. When you talk about Enugu and Ebonyi and most of the states you have there in the east, What natural resources do they really have? Are they not a state? They are states, independent states on their own, of their own. So let no one deceive you. We cannot be deceived. We were only keeping mute because we choose to pilot the affair of unity. But seeing it now that it is evidently clear that this unity is a fraudulent unity, we ought to emerge to begin to make sure that everything is perfectly retailored. We need to retailor everything. And since then, nothing like infrastructure, common roads. You cannot see these Edo governors that have been emerging to come and say they are fixing roads. The Ugboha road that is breaking up today was also done by Oshomole. All these Edo governor that has emerged, they have not done anything in Esan land. You see that they are renovating markets, but we know that most of the food crops come from Esan land. I'm not saying they don't have in other parts, but majority of the agricultural produce come out from Esan land. We have markets all over Esan land. You cannot see these Edo governors going to Esan land to go and give these market women, market men a befitting and conducive market shade. They abandon them there. You can't see them going to schools there to go and renovate schools. Whatever you see in Esan land today, we are brought on board by the indigenous people, not by the governments. Not by the governments. A perfect example is the Edo State Joint Security Network that was brought by the government of Edo State. They channeled down their security network to Benin City only. People were dying in other parts of the state. Fulani herdsmen were killing people in other parts of the state. But the Edo State Joint Security Network they provided, which they called Edo State, was majorly channeled towards Benin City, like as if Benin City is the only part of that state. Not until the Esan people, they challenge themselves and make sure they provide security network that is much better and much stronger than even the one the Edo State government produced, that was working only for them and themselves alone. And today, the Esan people are proud of Atanakba security network with good equipment, even though they are not sufficient enough, with mobilities, helices and motorcycles. These motorcycles were all produced by Esan people, not the government of Edo State. These helices were all produced, but to say they were all purchased by the Esan sons and daughters. If you look at the general hospital there, we have the Esan sons and daughters are the one who always grade the roads there in Uromi, my brothers and my sisters. Common sense will tell you that this is gross marginalization, and that is why we are saying whether or not the governorship get to the Esan people this time around, whether or not it get to us, we have seen all necessity for us to push for the creation of Esan states. They come to try to talk us out of lane, to make mockery of us, to say we have only 5 local governments while they have 7. I tell you the truth, we are much more than them, we are still bigger than them, because the 7 local governments they have, it's not only the Edo people that are there. The Igbaike are also part and parcel of that 7 local governments. But us is only the ASAN. No other group of people are in that 5 local governments we have. It's only the ASAN. So detach other group of people away from that 7 local governments the Edo are using to brag. You will see that they are not much in numbers. People don't know this. That is why me that know it is my responsibility, responsibility that rests upon my shoulders, for me to carry and deliver upon my people, for me to carry and deliver unto my people. That is why I am here to tell you, when you hear they tell you that they have 7 local governments, it is not that they are more than us. So it is because that 7 local governments comprises of other group of people. We, that 5 local governments is the ASAN. The AFEMA are not included. So you can imagine how we are much bigger than them. You talk about census, counting people individually, we are still much more than them, because the people they are counting unto themselves are not really part of them. They are using Okma Mahim to deceive people. If we are to count every other people, parts and parcels of the Eastern people, we count Onwa people, Onwa East and Onwa West, we count the Afemites that are even close to us, closer to us than the Edo people. You will see that we are still much more than them, but we decided to stick to ourselves. So we are much more than them. They have been doing the rating. They have been doing the rating, yes. So we need to also bring our own, rate it appropriately, because when you keep the people quiet for long, it will look like as if they are correct what they've been saying. But when you are emerging to come and burst the bubbles, to come and debunk these people, you need to be accurate, without abuse, without saga. So you can see that in real sense, we are much more than them, population wide and land mass. Do you get it? So brothers and sisters, should in case you've not shared this broadcast, endeavor to share. Keep sharing, keep sharing. Before I continue, my brother, Esan Focus Association, Esan IB. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Now let's begin to look at the proposed seaport in Edo State that must not be done in Benin. The proposed seaport should be taken to Zigolo in Esan land. Now, first of all, let us look at the reality behind these facts. You see, the proposed seaport there in Gelegele, in Gelegele, there in Benin, there is a whole lot of propaganda behind us, which the public do not know. The propaganda is, they know that it is not viable for them to implement seaport there, because they don't have coastal lane in the sea there. Gelegele is a river that leads into that sea, which stretch hand to Ondo State and also the Delta states. Now, the Benin, the Edo states don't have coastal lane. The coastal lane there has been shared to the neighboring states, which is Ondo State and Delta State. So, if Edo State for any reason say okay, they want to have seaport there, it will not be viable. And if they implement anything there, goods cannot land in that sea. For example, if they even say they are implementing sea, because you must have coastal lane in the sea, you must have your own lane in the sea, so that you will not need to take permission from neighboring country or neighboring states before you bring in your goods and take out your goods. It's just like China and America, for example. In that sea, or let's say London also, or any part of let's use China and America, or London and America. They are independent. They have coastal lane. Nobody encroaches into another territory. Nobody are encroaching into another territory. You see, if they do that without taking permission, maybe they are bringing their goods, shipping their goods into their country. If they do that, knowing fully well that they don't have coastal lane there, if they bring in goods, they want to make use of that lane without taking permission from the other people, other states, other countries that have the coastal lane, their goods might be shut down from the air. They might be penalized, or they will be penalized, because you are encroaching into a territory that is not yours. The same thing there in the space. You get it? You cannot take your private jets or your plane to go and land in another airport where you are not licensed to. This is how it is geographically. People don't understand geography, but we that do understand geography and know the propaganda that the government is playing, we also need to always inform our people. They know that it is not viable. The only place is viable to have seaport is Esan land. The coastal lane is free because that is our coastal lane. The coastal lane there in Esan land was not divided. The coastal lane that they were having in that sea has been divided by these people who they call Captain Osa during the era. They are the one who divided it, put money in their pocket, and some chiefs they have there in the palace of Oba of Benin. They know what I'm talking about. And some of the Enogis and the political elites at that time, they kept roots, they put money in their pocket. All of them have oil well to themselves. Somebody like Captain Osa and all that. So they did not see any reason to push for coastal lane adjustment, because they know that they omitted that long time ago. The coastal lane there has been divided to neighboring states, Delta states and Ondo states. Edo state do not have any coastal lane in the Gelegele, and as such, there is no such as Gelegele seaport. The government, they know fully well that Gelegele seaport is not viable. They later now change it again. It's not called Gelegele seaport. Their proposal is now called Gelegele river port, because they know that seaport will not be possible. You cannot have seaport when you don't have lane in the sea. So they've cross-checked all this. They see that they've sold away their future. They've mortgaged their future. So they now turn it into Gelegele river port. Can ship land in the river? It's just small goods that you'll be having there. And that Gelegele seaport we're talking about, or that sea, that Gelegele side, the river Niger is deeper. The Ozigono you have there from Ugboha down to that Ilishi Ozigono is river Niger, complete river Niger, and is deeper than any sea you have there in Nigeria. So why are they not looking into that? Because that part of the world is Esan land. If it was to be part of the Benin land, Edo land, ever since you will see that this seaport, they would have implemented it there. They know fully well that there is no availability. It is not viable for them to have seaport there. They are doing all this in making sure they squeeze it anyhow, because that is infrastructure. It must remain in Benin. You see what I'm telling you? Why are you putting your head where you know there is no roads? Just because of hatred for no reason for a particular group of people. And when you have all it takes to bring in development into that part of the world, Esan land, they ignore it and they are choking their head into a place which is called Gedegede Seaport, which sea can never happen there. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. What you are having there is the Ondo people that are mining oil there. If you go to Ondo State, I have lived in Ondo State in Rutoton. I have lived in Rutoton in Ondo State. I have tap rubber in Ondo State. And I know what I am telling you. They are the one that is cooking oil. The Benin people don't have rights. Because that is not their property. Their ancestors have sold it out, given it out. Just the way they are selling their land out. They've given it out to Ondo people and Delta States. And yet, even though that place was not given out, you cannot compare that place to River Niger. You can't compare that place to River Niger. So, why would they restrict infrastructure? Why would they restrict developmental stride towards Benin City only? If the oneness we're talking about is really oneness. Do you get it? So, this is the reason why we ought to create our states. We don't need our political elites that are making sure that governorship get to Esan land. Whether or not governorship get to Esan land, we must divide that state. In short, make una know if the case una never know. If governorship get to Esan land, that is, we will still divide the state. If the governorship did not get to Esan people, we must divide the state. We ought to. We are not only pushing because it is long overdue. You know how many years it is now that state was created. Esan man has not ruled as governor. If they are telling you that is by vote, it's lie. There is no such as free and fair election. There is no such as free and fair election in Nigeria at large. We know how the card is played. If it is by free and fair election, I tell you the truth. I tell you the truth. Oshomole wouldn't have emerged. There is no such as free and fair election. Most especially in a place where you know that this particular place, this particular state is not the only Igbo people that are there. It's not only Yoruba people that are there. That state comprises of multi-ethnic group of people. So the leadership or the rulership, as we may have it called, cannot and should not be endorsed from a particular group. Because that is what we call marginalization. Except everybody are really rated equally, but in this case, everybody are not rated equally. And we don't have to see any reason to continue in a state that is called Edo State. Because that is not our name. That is not our name. Edo is a servant boy. I don't know the meaning of Edo. You don't know the meaning of Edo. Every one of us don't know the meaning of Edo. Even they said don't know the meaning of Edo. Edo is nothing but a servant boy. It's just like what's the name of this servant boy that has been serving about Benin, that they use and dump and put all the blame on his head and said he was endorsing chiefs in some community without the urban knowing. He was selling land without the urban knowing. What's his name again? If you still remember his name, write his name out so that I will remember. I will call his name. Roland Ekoi. You understand? It's just like later on the long run, you go and name that state Roland Ekoi. A servant boy. You go and name the state or a particular kingdom, Roland Ehol. The Edo you see, Edo means struggle. We don't want to struggle. We don't want to struggle. Just as Javet means sorrow. We don't want to remain in struggle if really and truthfully Edo means struggle. Edo is not my language. So why should we continue in a state that is named towards a group of people when we know the history surrounding Edo? The main reason, number one reason why we ought to discontinue as identifying ourselves as people of Edo State is even the state that has been named to Edo State. Don't call me now, please. It's not yet time to call. I still have a lot to say. You will call later, please. You understand? Okay, God sent Idahosa. You're saying, my brother, why am I talking like? Why I am talking like this is what I have been narrating since. You don't have to be asking me, why am I talking like this? Do you have cotton in your ears? If you have, remove, so that you will see all I have been narrating that is making me talk like this. He's calling me now. Hello? Where will we say everything now? Yes, calling me now. I said finish. Line now, but I'm still speaking. I'm not done yet. Okay, Obulu. So, ask this person if he will agree for the state. Why not name the state in Nahoro State? What did Nahoro free all of us? Why not name the state in Nahoro State? What did the Edo do for me? The Edo did not do anything for me. I did not know him. He's a servant boy. And my identity should not be placed upon a servant boy. A Nahoro played a larger point, a larger role. He was the one who gave us the independence we are celebrating today. So if you people know what, if you people really want to say, okay, everybody must be carried along, we are the same as you talk, as you always say, I am asking you people to tell your traditional rulers and tell your political leaders that we need to rename this state. The state should be renamed to a Nahoro state. The state should be renamed to a Nahoro state, not Edo State. Oh yes, because Edo is an individual who is a servant boy, who did not make any move to free a particular group of people. We are not contented with the name any longer, and we don't want to continue with that name any longer because we cannot identify ourselves continuously as Edo State. The name should be called a Nahoro State because of the job a Nahoro did for the whole nation. If a Nahoro was to be an Edo man, was to be a Benin man, there would have been a lot that would have been done on his behalf to commemorate him. The state would have been named a Nahoro State. We are coming on board. I am telling my people, telling my traditional rulers who have subjected themselves to a particular monarch that we are not satisfied with that. We are calling that we don't want our father to be a subject to another monarch, to be a subject to another father. We don't want our king to be subject to another king. We want to put a stop to all that. That is why we deem it fit for the creation of our state, so that we will not be identifying ourselves with the name of a servant boy who was brutally killed by his own people. By his own people, not for us. Why not name the state the Onoji who killed Obaozolwa when Obaozolwa brought war to Esan land to come and wage battle with us, and eventually he was killed. His grave is in my village, Ugboha. His burial was buried in my village. The trees that is planted around there to identify that place is still there. Why not name? These are people of great renown. These are heroes who stood up to defend the people. Why not name the states? We are demanding that we don't want that name any longer, because we are not Edo. We are not Edo. My Edo, the error was done long time ago. Why? Because they beguile us with we are one. But I am telling you now, the advent of the Edo, who Edo is. Edo is a servant boy to Ogefa. A servant boy that was giving information to Prince Ogun, who later became Oba Eware the First. Who later became Oba Eware the First. Because the brother of Oba Eware the First, whose name is Iwaifiokwu, was looking for Oba Eware the First to kill, because he wanted to usurp the throne from him. Iwaifiokwu is the brother of Prince Ogun, who became Oba Eware the First. So in all those their quests of looking for each other to kill, Edo, who is a servant boy to Ogefa, who felt pitiful for Prince Ogun, started being on the watch out for Prince Ogun, giving him information about his opposition, his own brother, known as Iwaifiokwu. And on the long run, when Iwaifiokwu came with his warriors to look for Prince Ogun, who later became Oba Eware the First, they did not find him. He went hiding. Who they find was the slave or the servant boy. That was who they found. So they have to kill him on behalf of Prince Ogun. And Prince Ogun later became the Oba and named that group Edo. You can see. And when the state came up, they named the state Edo State. We should not continue with this. Okolelora, this is irritating. Share, lovers of truth, if you have not shared this broadcast. Why should the state be named Edo State in the first place? Why? Is it only Edo people that are in that geographical space? Just as Delta State is. We have tribes and languages in Delta State. That Delta area. We have tribes and languages. It should have been named to Ishekiri State. It should have been named to Robo State. It would have been named to Aizon State. It would have been named to a particular people. But no. They name it a name that will cover and generalize everyone. But that of our own, they name it Edo. And that now is giving them upper hand. The state is not supposed to be your state. It's not your state. We have been dwelling in propaganda. We have been dwelling in deceit. We have been dwelling in all manner of fraud. That state is not your state. It should not be named to you only. This is irritating. This is absolutely irritating. I have told you all manner of marginalization they've done to us, and let's not look at the reason why they feel they have the audacity to begin to treat our people like this, because the state is made to them. It looks like their property. We are asking that before we will even say, okay, let us go and ponder over it to see if we can continue as one, first of all, the state needs to be named and be named a Nahoro state. Then after the state has been named a Nahoro state, then we'll now start looking into it if we can continue in that oneness you're talking about. It should be named a Nahoro state. You know the record of a Nahoro. You know the record of a Nahoro. You know what he suffered. A Nahoro state is what I call for. In the place or in the position of Edo State, I call for a Nahoro state. I call for a Nahoro state. And as such, the time has come where we as some people should cease to identify ourselves as people of Edo State. Esamahi. We are not Edos. You can imagine people of great renown, they abandon them. Okay, this we talk about in Nahoro way back before Abu Salim. Before Abu Salim, Abu Salim came, was the best of leadership before the advent of Edo State. Now, why did he then name the state Abu Salim State? Everything you talk of stadium is there in Benin City. You talk of radio station, television station, everything is there in Benin City. You talk of the television station which is supposed to be the national station or the state station which they call EBS, Edo Broadcasting Service. All the broadcast there is Edo, and those things they are doing recycling within Benin City. It's called Edo Broadcasting Service. Reason the technicality and the deceit in it. Everything, the seaport they said they are proposed for or they are proposing for, they are trying to implement. They are putting it in a place they know that it's not supposed to be there, it's not viable, it cannot be done there, it will never happen. They know that there is all 110% for a seaport to be able to be implemented in that part of the world that is not called Edo State, and take it to Zigonu. They know, but no, they ignored. They saw later that the Gelegele seaport they are talking about is not possible for a seaport to happen there. They later change it. Go and check for yourself. It's not called Gelegele seaport any longer. It's called Gelegele River Port. It's called Gelegele River Port. We